Welcome everyone. This is our last video lecture for the semester. We are on Unit 5, the last unit. So congratulations on making it this far. I do want to remind you to hang in there. Oftentimes the end of the semester is the trickiest as far as being determined to complete the assignments and to give it your all 100% as you have the rest of the semester. Some due date reminders. So Unit 5 is due Thursday, July 21st at midnight Mountain Standard Time. Keep in mind your initial post for the discussion board is due Tuesday, July 12th, and then your 2 additional responses are due by the Thursday, July 21st deadline. Once again, like every other unit, the same assignments, so reflective journal, Dear Abby letters, reading quizzes, and the observations and development. This unit covers adolescence, which is chapters 14, 15, and 16, so the 3 remaining chapters in your textbook. With this, it is also the end of the semester, which means the final exam is due. This is the same information that's available on iLearn on the course website. It is an online exam, so you don't need to go to a proctor or a testing center to complete it. It's open book and no time limit. However, so you can save your work. Say you stop at question 23 and you have to go to class or run an errand or your kids wake up, whatever it may be. Just save it and then come back to it. Once you hit submit, it submits the exam, whether you finished or not. So be sure that when you're doing that, you carefully make sure that you select save. So only submit it when you have actually answered all 100 questions and you're completely done. You must work alone. This is not a collaborative exam, so there's no emailing of students, no chatting with them. If you have a question, email me and I will help you out, but please do not collaborate. If someone does contact you in hopes of collaborating, please let me know, as that is not a fair policy in this course. The rundown of the exam, it's 100 questions total, 20 questions from each of the 5 units. So each of the 5 sections of childhood and development. Alright, so on to Unit 5. This unit, as I said, is about adolescence, which often comes with a little bit more personal situations. Kids get bigger in size and also their problems get bigger. My 2-year-old freaks out because she didn't have enough milk in her cereal. Well, when she's 16, that's not the case anymore. Now it's because someone bullied her at school, or a guy maybe picked on her, or tried to go too far with her as far as sexual relations. And so this time of their life is extremely delicate as far as trauma, as far as the impact that it can have. High school is not a glorious time to be in. It's a struggle for many adolescents. The discussion board, this unit, focuses on body image and eating disorders. I would ask if you want to share personal details or personal experiences, whether yourself or a loved one, a friend, you are more than welcome to. I would expect and demand that you as a classmate show respect to that. And do not criticize, do not critique anyone that's sharing that personal details. Once again, the minimum word requirement is set at 2,200 words for the Dear Abby letters. I say this because every unit I've had people not make that, and I announce it every time. So be sure that you meet that minimum word requirement or you will lose points. Once again, this unit in general just discusses some heavy and crucial topics that relate to sexuality, addictions, pornography, and so if you yourself or someone you know is struggling with some of these issues and you feel free or you feel comfortable contacting me about it, that's wonderful. Please send me an email, call me on the phone, text me, whatever is easiest and most comfortable for you. I can provide resources for you for help, whether it's within the LDS church or outside. So please reach out to me. I have a myriad of resources that we can use for those issues. All right, well, before I go into that, let me go into iLearn. Okay, so let's go under Unit 5 and look this over. Alright, so Unit 5. Here, once again, it's chapters 14, 15, and 16. And then here is the assignments. I want to go through these a little bit more in detail. There are a few areas that I like to help you guys out on. So the collaborative quest or the discussion board has you watching these 4 videos. They're all pretty short. This Dove evolution commercial is very interesting, as well as Elder Holland's address to young women. Now, all of these you'll see focus on teenage girls, adolescent girls. I would strongly encourage that they can also relate to young men. Oftentimes in society we focus body image, self-image, eating disorders on girls, on adolescent girls, but it often goes undiagnosed, unnoticed in males. And so as a professional, as a parent of adolescents, I would encourage you to also watch for the warning signs in young men as well. Typically this is related to sports. So if they're bulking up at the gym, if they feel the need to be more involved in sports and athletics, become a jock, so to, as the terms that they would use, that would be more stereotypical of body image issues in males, where the females are going to be focused on a wide variety of things: their dress, their hair, tanning, working. I would also say working out to get for their physical appearance, things like that. So please, in the discussion board, it asks you to relate and discuss them about how you would help your daughter develop a healthy body image. I would also say helping your son develop healthy body image. So once again, make your initial post by Tuesday, July 12th, and then 2 additional responses after that to your peers. The Dear Abby letters is pretty straightforward. I do want to go over the observations and development. This one is a little bit trickier. So right here, you watch each of these videos, the 4 different videos, and you identify their identity status. So let me upload the document, and I'm going to point out in the textbook what I'm talking about here, because this one's a tricky. Okay, so it's under, this is sometimes a tricky area for this assignment. The identity video clips. Identify the identity status for each of the 4 people in different clips. So let me tell you what where you will find this in the textbook. It is on pages, it starts mainly on page 472. So the textbook refers to the following 4 identity statuses. Let me start with role confusion. That's the base one. And let me type it in here so you guys can see. Role confusion, and let me put this is on page 472 in the textbook if you have the 9th edition, which you all should. So the role confusion is what I would say is the base, the start of identity status, meaning that they don't have a clue who they are. They are extremely confused about their role. In some cases, they're okay with that. Some adolescents, especially in the younger years, maybe 11, 12, 13, they don't care that they don't know who they are. That's okay with them. They're okay, for example, related to the gospel, they're okay believing the testimony of their parents. They don't have a desire to question for themselves yet. They don't have a desire to gain their own personal testimony yet. In other realms of life, they may be perfectly fine, not identifying themselves with anything. So they do not seem to know or care what their identity is, what the textbook says there. The next step is called foreclosure. And this, so all of these come from Erik Erikson, and this is the premature formation of identity. So the beginnings of desiring to identify yourself. They begin, let me try to think of the best way to explain this. They recognize what their identity is. They're not yet creating their own identity. It's just looking inward, seeing what they already have, seeing what they already like to do and what they want to become, and accepting that. They're not questioning it. They're not analyzing it. They're not researching or thinking or pondering what they want to become. It's just who they are right then, and no changes. The next step is called moratorium, which is when they begin to decide some things. So, do you want to go to college or not? Do you want to serve a mission or not? Do you want to get your driver's license or not? And so they're starting to realize that there are some things that they can decide and create that autonomy for themselves regarding it. Because if you ask an 8-year-old who's been raised in the church, are you going to serve a mission? Yes, 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 because that's what they've been taught. And we encourage that teaching. But probably mid-adolescent, 16, 17, they're going to start thinking, do I really want to do that? Do I want myself? I know what my family wants. I know what my church leaders want. I know what my friends are doing. But do I physically and mentally want to do that myself? Then the last step is identity achievement. Obviously this is when they've considered the goals and values of their family. They keep some, they discard some, and then they understand who they are. Let's see, the definition in the textbook: adolescents have reconsidered the goals and values of their parents and culture. Cultural is a big thing for many families. My sister-in-law grew up in India, had an arranged marriage, everything, and shortly after I would say, had identity achievement, where she realized she did not want to be part of that culture, and she has since moved to the States, married my brother, and she keeps some of the cultural ties, but as far as her family and their morals and values and traditions, she's not as close to. They accept some and discard others, discerning their own identity. And so you will notice in these videos, each of the 4 individuals relate best to one of those 4. Then in the next part, I'm just asking for a comment that they make that made you realize which of these 4 they are. Then this next part about singular or differentiated, there's nothing in the textbook about this, so please don't spend hours looking at this, and don't Google search it because there's nothing out there. What this is asking for is when you look at self-image, self-esteem, self-confidence, any of those, singular would be a very narrow-minded view of yourself in one realm, in one perspective, where differentiated is a little bit more complex view. For example, a singular self-esteem would be, I'm really good at sports, therefore I have the highest self-esteem ever because I'm good at this one thing. Differentiated would be a more complex understanding of, well, I'm really good in sports, not so great in academics, and that's okay with me. They can still have a strong self-esteem, but they understand that they are better in some areas and not so great in others, and they're at peace with that understanding. Then the next part is asking if they have a strong, medium, or weak sense of self. This is completely your opinion once you watch the videos. Weak, again, there's nothing in the textbook regarding this, but where on the spectrum of, say 1 being a weak sense of self and 10 being super strong, confident, high self-esteem, where would you put them? And just as long as you answer this why question, as long as you can argue for it and state your opinion and why you believe it, that's great with me. So don't get hung up on these questions. They're not as complicated as they sound. Just reason with me, explain it, and you'll do great. So that's the observations and development. Then the reflective journal is pretty basic. Let me go ahead and open it. Or let me just quick see if there's any questions that people get caught up on. This question 15, the identity status again. That's what I just referred to in the observations and development. So take note